I was thinking about what to talk about today, and what I decided on was what I consider to be three of the most important lessons I've learned in my life, and kind of the story of how that came upon me, how they, um, yeah, the story of how they became present. And these three things are things that are subconsciously like have been drilled into my brain and kind of dictate every day the way I move. A lot of my actions, every decision I make, I can't help it at this point, but all the more that's why they are the most important lessons. So to understand it, understanding me, for those of you who aren't aware, I'm from Akron, Ohio. I went to St. Vincent St. Mary High School, Catholic high school, and a thing that St. V does is they have this retreat for seniors. It's called Kairos. And the big thing about Kairos is that it's one big secret, and you don't know much about it until you go. So from my freshman to junior year, all I knew about Kairos is that a group of seniors would miss class for a few days, um, and they'd come back, post some pictures on Instagram, but they'd come back with their Kairos t-shirt, the Kairos necklace, hugging everybody, just full of love. Like, I love my Kairos brothers and family. Like, it was a little joke, like they almost got brainwashed out there, but for a good reason. Like, they come back with so much, love for each other. And we would always ask, like, the seniors, like, what happens there? Like, what is the deal? What is the big thing? And they're like, we can't tell you, like, it's a secret, but just make sure you go senior year, no matter what. Go to Kairos, life-changing experience. So, I mean, naturally, you just grow anxious to understand what is the big secret, what's the big gist about Kairos. So, sure enough, I'm a senior, so it's time to start thinking about Kairos. And the thing about Kairos is that it's not like all of the seniors go at once. There's three different groups that go. There's a fall group, a winter group, and a spring group, and you just choose which one you want to go to. And to tell this story, I must be frank with the details. So, St. Vincent St. Mary, predominantly white school. So traditionally, looking at the older seniors, a lot of the black kids would go in the spring. So it was no question, like, we're gonna go in the spring. All my people, all my friends. So yeah, that was just what the deal was. So the problem with that came when another group I was in high school called Model UN, just another extracurricular. There was a scheduling conflict. So like the advisor for my Model UN group, she basically talked to everybody on the team and said, hey, like, if you guys are thinking about Kairos, this was already, the fall one had already passed, basically saying we have a conference when the spring dates are. So if you guys want to go to Kairos, you got to go in the winter, no choice. But, that's if you want to go to Kairos, completely optional. So Saudi, that already put a bummer in my plans for Kairos. You got this thing mapped out, so I had to change plans. But at the end of the day, I didn't have a choice. So it was like, it is what it is. I'll go in the winter. So luckily, one of my best friends in high school was also on the Model UN team. So he had the same problem as me. So we were both going to go in the fall. And then we had persuaded one of our other good friends to go with us. So I at least had two of my best friends going with me. Probably didn't have everyone that I wanted. But it was all good. So it was about January, we go to Kairos. And for those of you that are unfamiliar or never been to Kairos, it's low-key a trip. Kairos is, I should pull out my notes. Kairos is a Kairos is a Greek term that technically means right or it means time or right or critical opportune moment, and it's ancient Greek, all about the concept of time. So the thing about that, my school took it pretty hard. Meaning when you're in Kairos, you're on God's time, not your own time. So that means no phones, and I don't mean no phones like put it away, put it in your pocket. I mean like we're on the bus right there. Like, everyone put your phone in this box. You'll get it back on the last day when we're done here. So no phones whatsoever. So stuff like that. And, there's also chaperones, but there are also Kairos leaders in our senior group. And basically, I just say this to say they room you with people who they know you're not friends with because they know you and they know who you're friends with. So just an opportunity to get you out of your comfort zone. But this isn't all about what Kairos is. But basically, to understand what Kairos is, though, it is about just growing closer to the people that you've been with for 4 years, understanding them on a deeper level beyond the classroom setting and, just becoming, just sharing intimacy with everybody. So it was a lot of workshops and activities geared around that. You're growing closer towards people, a lot of chaperone-led workshops. So Kairos is about 3 or 4 days. So somewhere in the middle of Kairos, we had a workshop or an activity where the chaperones were like, we've led everything up to this point, but we really just want to leave you guys all to yourselves. Just, have a time with each other as, fellow students. Just share whatever you guys want to with each other. So that was what the activity was. And slowly what it turned into was people that I've been going to school with for like 4 years, well, you think you know, they just started sharing these like major confessions about themselves and their lives, like and things they were battling with, whether it be freaking alcoholism or just problems at home or depression. People were just one by one just sharing revelations. People are crying all over the place. So very, close, intimate moment just of major vulnerability. And I will never forget this one kid named Ryan Bernowski. And Ryan and I weren't friends. I say, what's the word? Acquaintances. We had a couple classes together. I knew him. We were cool, but I wouldn't call him a friend. But he was sharing, and he basically talked about how earlier in the fall, how his parents had divorced, and he just caught him so off guard. And just it was a really sad story, but just how it was like his family's last time having dinner, and he didn't even know it, and just how like he took that stuff for granted. But what really hit me was he said, "Yeah, and I just really wish things could go back to how they were, and I miss the times with my family, but truthfully, it's been hard this whole semester. But the time where my life feels the most normal and really when I'm happiest is when I'm at school with you guys." And like my heart sank. So that was the first important lesson I learned was everyone has their things that they're struggling with behind the door. So because of that, really just treat people with compassion unconditionally and give people the benefit of the doubt. That really showed me everyone has their own battles that they're going through, and who am I to make anyone's life harder than it already is? So when Ryan said that, all I could think about was, say he was having a bad day. I'm just thinking back to our encounters. Like, I wonder if I ever said anything to make him feel crazy or make his day any worse than what it was. And if that was the case, like my heart would have sank. So because of that, I just really try to give people the best version of myself, treat people with kindness. And my sister says this thing that to this day, like I love. I don't know where she got it from, but she says, "Be a light in someone's day. Like try to be a light in someone's day." So I've tried to adopt that, and if I can do something to make someone's day better, say something nice, give them a compliment, you look good, something like that, and they just remember that. That's something that'll stick with me, and I appreciate. So something I learned from that very moment, and simultaneously, I learned the second important lesson in my life. So people are saying these hard revelations and trials and tribulations that they're going through. So naturally, you want to share something. So I started looking back to my life, and up until that point, the worst thing that had happened to me is me losing my granddad. And to tell the truth, it was kind of like the best case scenario. It wasn't a tragic death or anything. He just had grown old and sick, and it's something that we've seen for months coming. So you got to grow closer with him and say your last goodbyes and all that type of stuff. So really as cool as it could have been. And that is the worst thing I had faced when people around me are sharing. Like, I have gone through hell and back, like at 18 years old. So my second lesson learning was just gratitude, understanding gratitude and just how gracious God has been in my life and taking a second to look at that. So whatever problems I thought I was having at 18 years old, I don't know what it was, looking at college or I'm trying to get some wheels or whatever it is, that is so minor, like, to what is going on in this room and just what people my age are in real life are facing. So from that moment, I just really make an emphasis to practice gratitude in my life. Every day, like when I say my prayers at the end of the day, first thing I say is, "Thank you, God, another day, another blessing." Before I go into this rant talking about my day and asking you of things I need, let me understand, like, I'm thankful to be here. What I do have, it's just beyond a blessing for me. And I urge you all, or I encourage you all to practice gratitude if you do not frequently, because it just keeps you grounded, and keeps you grounded, gives you just a sense of realization of all that God has done in your life. I feel like not to get into, I don't know everyone's life story, but the fact that we're all here in this room, we're all in a higher education setting, that speaks enough to a blessing that God has given you. So taking the time to do that is really beneficial, I feel like. So also, anyone who has ever been in my room, I've got a freaking massive whiteboard that I write. I write like daily affirmations or reminders to myself, and periodically I try to change them up and give myself different things. But one thing that I always leave on there, and it's the first thing, and it's the biggest letters, it says, "Thank you, God." Like, just remember that constantly. How blessed I am. I'm like, I feel like I should just never have room to complain. So sure enough, Kairos ends. We become those corny seniors wearing the shirts. I love everybody because it was a great time. And next thing you know, as everyone knows, it's 2020, COVID-19 happens. So this third lesson, important realization did not occur to me until sometime quarantine, probably midsummer, whatever. But, salty about all the things that I missed senior year, prom, graduation. I'm one of them high school ones, class of 2020. What I didn't realize is um, spring group of Kairos never happened. So had life gone how I wanted it to, I would have never gone to Kairos, would have never had this retreat, this life-changing experience for me. And like my heart sank. My heart dropped when I just really hit me with all of that stuff. So I say this to say, the lesson is really like God's timeline will always supersede whatever you think you have going on in your life, whatever plan you have. Yeah. So just real. So and you just constantly see it play out over and over again, time after time. Um, and really understanding this lesson, I really encourage you all to try and adapt it too, because it's just brought me so much peace. You can try and micromanage your life and want things to go a certain way. At the end of the day, it's going to go how God wants it to go, and it's going to be for your benefit. So why even worry about it? Why even pour your heart into it? So that's just something that I carry with me to this day, and it's applicable in all situations. Understand life isn't always going to be on a high. There are going to be tough times and tough periods in your life, but maybe God is developing strength within you to face something in your future, or, who knows? There are endless possibilities, but it just brings me peace knowing that God is working on something beyond me. Maybe I'm not too understand it, but I'm going to trust it because God wouldn't set me up for some failure. So I tell myself that frequently, so I just encourage you all to adapt that same mindset. So also, recently I was watching an online sermon. I didn't go to church, so I was watching some online, but Blue Church, and this pastor had spoke something along the lines of what I'm saying. But even when you're going through these tough periods and you're trying to find that why and ask God, what is it? How does this work? What are you trying to prove? What route are you taking me on? This pastor said something, and it said, the greatest challenge in life is trusting God to connect the dots later. And that speaks to exactly what I'm saying. You might want the answers right away. Why are these things happening? What are you trying to teach me? But just letting go and let God happen, and trusting Him to reveal it to you later down the line, whether it's a week from now, months from now, just trusting that to happen be majorly beneficial. So that's kind of the third lesson. I was looking for a verse to kind of coincide with that and, match up with that. And I found a verse in a book that I have never had to read from, so I can't pronounce it. Habakkuk. Yeah. Chapter 2, verse 3. It speaks exactly on this, and it says, "For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end, and it will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it, but surely it will come and not delay." So God's vision will just always supersede, and it will come in due time, at the perfect time. It will not delay. So just let it happen. Whatever agenda you have for yourself, just let it go. Understand that everything does have a purpose, and it will get revealed at some point. So essentially, those are my three lessons. One, just, give people the benefit of the doubt. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors, so try to treat people with compassion when you can. Bring someone up. Be a light in someone's day if you can. And definitely don't make anyone's life harder than it already is. Number two, practice gratitude. Thank God for every single day you have here, everything He does give you. You may not have the best life, but you surely do not have the worst life. So be thankful for that. And third, trust God's timeline. It'll always supersede and overpower whatever agenda you have for yourself. So don't even spend the time trying to micromanage or complain or trip about things not going your way, because God's timeline is always happening, and it'll always be the best result for you at the end. So that's all that I have. Thank you for taking the time to listen.